Okay, so now I'm going to be doing a demonstration of our water media supplies, our brushes, our paints that we're going to be using in Fashion Studies 101. We're going to be using it in your drawing class, and we will be also using it in Jennifer's class in your color theory, your trend forecasting in color theory class. So the paints that we're going to use are a acrylic paint, okay? So they are able to be mixed with water, and they mix very well with other acrylic paints as well, which is very good for your color theory class. Now, there's two ways we use it, okay? The first way, you grab your flat brush. First of all, you've got the two brushes. You've got one that's flatter and one that is quite sharp, right? So that's your, where's my, there you go. That's the sharp brush. And this is, you'll have a flat brush of some kinds of the two of those. So I'm going to start with the flat one here and show you how we use that. So you get some water going, and you will lightly, this time, you don't need too much water for this application. Okay, so this is when you take the paint thick, right? You don't want to water it down too much. Just to give it some movement, but you don't need to put a ton of water in at this point. And then when you apply it, you give it really nice, flat, thick coverage, okay? Now, this is going to be very important for your color theory class because you will be making and mixing colors, okay? And you want to get really rich, accurate color swatches when you are doing your mixing, okay? So see how I've got nice flat coverage here. And then say I was going to mix it with another color, like so. When you're doing color theory mixing, you want to make sure it's not too streaky. You want to have a nice mix in the palette before you take it to the paper. Okay, so again, nice flat, broad strokes, very even coverage so that you could cut out a smaller tile or swatch from that. All right? I'm going to mix up one more. Put in a little bit more water here. And I'll go over here and do our color number 3. Now, you know I love drawing, but you have to know I love to paint as well. So I'm going to be making you do lots of painting in your drawing class, and I'm going to make you do lots of painting in your design class for sure. Okay, so here we go. Do one more of these swatches. And again, nice and flat, fully mixed, beautiful flat color. Okay? And that will dry without the shine. Right now it's looking kind of shiny because I've got the lights on it, but you will see that it will dry quite flat, which is exactly what you want for your color class. Now, part 2, as I said, are acrylic paints not only function very well when they're painted on very thick, the cool thing about them is that you can also bring in a lot of water like this. And use it more like a watercolor, right? Like more like something freer and more art-based, right? And it can become very thin as well as applying it thick. And that's why we use both of them, because when we're going to be doing fashion illustration, I'm going to want you to use your paint to create more expressive, more gestural, there's my gestural word again, aspects. And you can let it bring darker paint into it, do all kinds of stuff, and really have a lot of fun with it. The other cool thing about it is you can color a section, and this is your watercolor paper that you're working on now. So you can use the paint to paint in a color, let it dry, and then you can then go back and paint over it after, like paint into it. So it's like you can paint a background, and then once it's fully dried out, when you come back in with a brush and you paint. Unlike if you've worked with watercolors before, you'll know that watercolor, when it dries, does not dry permanent. Water will lift it up again. So here I'm going to now use my sharp, and with this one, you obviously can do very fine points. This is more like how you would use your pencil, right? Because it's nice and sharp. You can also go online and buy very, very fine, sharp brushes as well. Okay? So you're going to be doing some exercises in class. And you're going to be using your paints, you're going to be exploring them, and you're going to be doing one set of stripes. So stripes are always popular with, as a designer. Being able to do good stripes is a useful career move because stripes are always in fashion. And so you're just going to, mix up whatever colors you like, and then do stripes. Some thin, some thick, that's up to you how you want to do it. It can be very loose, it can be very, very precise. That is up to you as a designer, okay? I'm doing this very quickly, but if you want to be much more careful and do very precise stripes, you certainly can do that as well. That is totally up to you as a designer. All I want is for the stripes to go from one side of the page to the other. Okay. So that's one of the exercises today. Doing your stripes across the page. And you can certainly do some stripes, let it dry, and then go back in and put more stripes on top, right? That's the nice thing about acrylic, is that it's permanent when it dries. You let it dry and then you paint on top of it and it doesn't lift up again, which is so handy. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the other two studio pieces I want you to work on in the next section of the lecture today, and they're going to be based on two design principles. One is symmetry, and the other is asymmetry, okay? So that will be coming up next after this.